Hello and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. I just want to give a shout out to Rounded, our sponsor, because I know for me, my quarterly BAS used to be so stressful. But I love Rounded because everything is there and so tidy, Rach.
I know, no more shoe boxes of receipts. I also really love that my accountant can log into the program remotely and help me with lodgement. Just do it without me needing to even worry about it.
That's what we love.
But best of all, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can save 20% on any annual Rounded plan. Even if you've got the Rounded discount last year, you can get it this year as well.
Awesome. The show notes always have the details.
Yeah.
Hi Lynne, I'm so excited about today's episode because we've had so many different freelancers on the podcast, doing lots of different writerly things, but this is a first. She's a voice actor.
Yes. A voice actor is so interesting. I think it's something we're fascinated by. And I'm so thrilled to have Sarah Aubrey on the pod. She's one of the best in the business and a long-time freelancer. So it's great to hear how she's created such a successful career. And she's got a fascinating side hustle too that we'll talk about as well.
Yes, I've just been stalking her side hustle. Tell me about Sarah and then we'll get her in the hot seat.
Of course. So Sarah Aubrey is one of Australia's most recognised voice actors with over 20 years experience. She graduated from NIDA in 1997 and has appeared on screen in many television series, including Water Rats, Home and Away, All Saints, Frayed, Rescue Special Ops and The Secret Life of Us. Her voice work is extensive and varied, from voicing Australia's #1 television network Channel 7 from 2005 to 2020 to a Latina penguin in Happy Feet 2. As well as a wide range of advertising work, she's also voiced numerous cartoon characters in Dive Ollie Dive, Blinky Bill, Fairy Tale Police Department, Stains Down Drains, I don't even know half of these, Dennis and Nasher, Master Raindrop, Nate is Late, Tales of Illuma, Deadly, Seaside Hotel, some Red Bull TV commercials, and the title role and voice direction of Sally Bollywood.
Ooh.
So she's appeared in 2021, she appeared in the Australian sci-fi feature Last Ark. And in addition to her acting and voice work, Sarah's produced 3 EPs and an album with her band Girl Most Likely.
EPs.
Oh, yeah. See, I said 3 EPs.
We automatically think of podcast apps, don't we?
You do. Hello, ladies. How you going?
Oh, it's so lovely to have you on the podcast, Sarah.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now.
Well, how far back do you want me to go, really? I mean, we emigrated to Australia when I was 10. And the reason I say that is because I actually went to 7 different schools throughout my schooling. And I think that was my groundwork, essentially, of survival from being teased and beaten up at schools, that by the time I left that school, each school, I had the same accent as all the kids in that school, because it was all over the world that we were moving around. And I actually think that is how I weirdly wound up doing voiceovers, that I have this really good ear for accents and for, silly voices and that kind of thing. And it's just couldn't help myself. And quite frankly, I was really irritating to be around. And thank God someone started paying me for it. That's pretty much my story. But yes, I did go to NIDA, did quite a bit of acting work, guesties on TV shows when I first graduated. And then just spent a lot of time at castings, sitting next to models at ad castings, and went, I really just don't think this is for me. And so really just pursued voiceovers. It was this sort of untouched part of myself as well, which hadn't been critiqued by NIDA and kind of, destroyed in a way. I was still that kid playing with a tape recorder in the 80s in Derby, mucking about with voices. And I just felt wildly confident about it. At the time, my agent, Sophie German, worked for a different agency and we worked together. She had come from an advertising background, and a lot of the agents actually frowned upon voiceovers. They kind of looked at them as being a bit, not good enough for their actors kind of thing. There's a very, very small pool of actors in that world at that time. And we worked together. She just went right through all the creatives, through all the different agencies. I made a whole bunch of CDs, and then I literally went, knocked on doors, physically knocked on doors and handed them to people. And then she would follow up. So we worked together as a team, and then she left and started her own agency, and she's still my agent basically today. So we really do work as a team in terms of having built my voice career over time. And certainly I've become one of the top voices in the country. And I think that the thing in my job is longevity. But, you know, the industry is always looking for new voices, which is great. But to have had it's actually I really need to update my bio on my website, clearly. 25 years, doing voiceovers. So
Wow.
That might be a very annoying question, but can you do some voices for us?
I do play a lot of children. So in Deadly, I played the two main characters, the boy and the girl who spoke to each other. So, when I talk like a little boy, when I talk like that, that kind of thing, like, that's kind of little boy voice that I often do. Or little girls who talk like this too. Like, it's really, really awesome. Isn't it great? Well, this is my Pearl voice. I love Pearl. She's great. I pull her out from time to time. One day I'm going to call up 2GB and say, my name's Pearl. I'm 78 years old. And then just say something really left wing, just to really throw them. And then, and lots of, evil little characters and such. So, yeah, I've just anything really. It's just very creative when you do cartoons, and it's nice because you often record them in one room together, like a radio play. So there's a camaraderie there.
Oh, that's nice.
Amazing. It's such an interesting niche. How many voice actors are there in Australia like you, and are they as busy as you?
I would say that people who work as much as me and who are known as well as me is a small pool of people. I couldn't tell you exactly how many. Obviously every agency has them, but we often work alone, so you don't really know.
You don't have a Facebook group or anything?
No. But there's not many people. I'm quite rare in that I'm one of those few people who can do both animation and commercial work. So often people are only in one or the other, but I'm one of those very rare people that do both.
Wow.
Because I'm that good.
Yeah. Are you still acting, or is it mostly voice work?
But it's funny. I sort of didn't do any acting for a long time when I was just so busy. And you have to be really available with voiceovers. Literally 20 minutes, can you be there kind of thing. So even though you do have potentially a bit of time in your hands, you don't really have freedom. But I do. So for a big period of time there, I didn't. And then the last 4 or 5 years, I've done more than I have in probably 15 years. It's really weird. So not much. I made a feature, as you said before, that sci-fi feature, but people keep asking me to, I did an acting job last week, just little parts. They just call up and ask me to do it. I don't even have to audition for it. So that's nice. That's kind of fun. And it doesn't detract from, my voice work, and it's just kind of keep your hand in kind of thing.
Well, we're talking to you as you're in your studio, so our listeners can't see, but it looks a little bit like a bathroom, with these
It looks like a padded room. That's what you're saying, isn't
Yes.
So talk to us about that, because you said you had it shipped in from Spain. How much does it cost to get a studio like that put in your house?
Well, probably the biggest premium is to have the space of somewhere to put it in your house.
Yes.
You need a room or something like that?
Yeah, well, I got rid of the guest bed in our spare room, basically, and put it in. So I think the footprint's maybe 2.5 meters by 1.5 meters. This is a brand called Studio Bricks. So I shipped it in from Spain, thankfully pre-COVID. Could you imagine trying to do it? It was about a year and a half before COVID hit, actually. So it was just perfect because I was just completely set up. I was already working this way anyway via Source Connect with clients, but everyone was scrambling at that time then to put in a studio. And it's actually the nicest looking, I think, booth. You can buy them in Australia now for about 10, 12 grand. It's white on the outside. It slots together like Lego. It's really pretty looking, actually. I like it.
Yeah.
Like a little TARDIS in my house, a little TARDIS. It's great.
Well, I can imagine with COVID, everyone was, instead of going to studios, had to do things at home. And when we saw actors all over, suddenly recording in their sort of studios
with doonas over their heads.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that going on.
You were in a good position then.
I was, and I didn't really advertise that I had it because I didn't want to annoy studios that potentially I was doing things and not going into studio, and therefore they lost out. But I mean, most of the time I do stuff, and I always ask to connect with the studio. So there's an engineer at the other end, so they're not losing out. But yeah, they were like, wow, okay, sure, no problem. Great. And, I've got a UK agent as well. They rep me as an Australian, and I do voiceovers all the time with the UK. I think my latest voiceover was 11 p.m. at night. One was a record. So you're available then to everyone all over the world. Yeah, it's good.
Sense you can't really master or that you find hard to do?
I just don't like to take work away from studios. I just, yeah. And I'm not really trained in that. I can record, I can use Pro Tools basically, but you need even more kind of stuff to do that. And that, they're experts at that. I think, let's not take work away from people.
If the bulk of your work is like voice work, what are the pros and cons to that? I'm guessing like getting a cold or something like that.
I am the psycho friend when it comes to colds. All of my friends and family are trained now that if they have anything that resembles a cold or even a sore throat, they know not to come near me because I can't work if I get sick. So, and yeah, I didn't get COVID until October last year. So I managed to avoid it all that time. And I still wear my mask out. Like we had a really bad few weeks there, didn't we? Everyone was like bronchitis and pneumonia and all sorts of things. And I do actually still wear any kind of crowded place. I still wear my mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And you've been freelancing. So you basically work for yourself the whole time. I guess that's how acting works. Do you like that, or is it hard? Would you like a day job sometimes?
I've never had one, so I don't know. It is hard in that do you know what? Acting was harder for that because unless you can write stuff and create it yourself, you are really beholden to whether the casting agents like you or not. Like you really are. I mean, they make or break your career. Like Cate Blanchett's career was completely made by Liz Mulliner, for example. They make your career, and if you're in with them, then great, and if you're not, then you don't even get auditions, right? And I didn't like that. I'm quite proactive, and so I felt a bit frustrated by that. And with voiceovers, because it's ad agencies, they're all about selling. So you can approach them directly. There's no middleman to get annoyed. And, I handed those CDs to them and were like, here you go. And did the sell and was like, I'm really good. You should listen to that. Yeah, great. And then they did. And it was like, there was no buffer, no obstacle to me. And I liked that. And so I like that side of the advertising industry. They're more open to you being able to be a bit of a hustler, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas it's tougher in acting. And so I think I personally work better in that world. And, I've managed the band that we were in. So I would be calling up and getting gigs. And, I've produced a play and I did all the publicity for that stuff. And I'm quite good at, and even the stuff that I'm doing now with my little side hustle, it's like, I made a website and I just do different things. And I'm good at putting myself out there, but there are obstacles to doing that, I think, in the acting world.
Yeah.
Are you sort of full-time, or do you work a certain amount of hours every week?
For voiceovers?
Or all your work?
There is no structure to my life.
Yeah.
And actually things like what time I walk the dog and going to the gym 3 times a week is actually really important to me because there is no structure in my life.
Yeah.
So I really do try to create those things for myself so I don't go mad. And my agent used to not even have an online diary. This was before that. I didn't even know what I was going to be doing the next day until she called me at 5 o'clock. And I could just make no plans. So then I went, I'm going insane. Please, let's just put it there so I can at least see the week ahead and I can put things in there that you can see to not put something there. So it really varies. I feel like we're in a bit of a definitely a flat period in the ad industry right now. They call it a recession. I think it definitely is. I think AI is going to absolutely kill my job. All those little things that we as voice actors rely on, like IVR stuff that we do, where, you call up the bank and it's press 1 for lost or stolen cards, that sort of stuff, I think will just go. And I think there's going to be a massive, massive problem in terms of unemployment in the voice industry itself. So that's kind of part of the reason why I'm trying to sort of pivot a bit and create a new kind of career for myself, but with the skills I have.
Yeah, it's interesting because I haven't actually thought of AI in your career. There's a lot about the threat of AI in writing, but with writing still, I think the human element is important. And I would have thought in voice work, I don't know. I think I can tell an AI voice. I mean, maybe I can't. Maybe there are some out
For
there.
now, you can for now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just going to get better and better. That's the thing. And you're not going to be able to tell. It's already getting really, really good. I think you'll still use actors for, say, commercials with a budget and that require, nuance and, connection
Yes.
to human stuff like emotions. But as I said, that phone stuff and that kind of bread and butter stuff for us, I think it will go. And it's,
Yeah.
I'm really worried about it. I'm not going to lie. The industry are definitely worried about it too.
You already seeing some of those jobs, disappear, or
I don't know, because everything seems a bit flat right now anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit hard to tell, and I'm not really kind of speak to me in a year. We'll see. We'll see.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. But the ups and downs of acting work and voice work, or whether it's regular acting, do you struggle with things like cash flow? I mean, you've been doing it for a while, so maybe it gets easier, but there's sort of up and down. And particularly I know friends who are actors where they get a play or a movie and it's great, and then there's nothing for 2 or 3 months. That's much harder than our industry. Do you struggle with that?
It's like that all the time. I've always, from the beginning, been really, really strict with myself that any money I get in, I put it aside into savings, and then I, pay myself a wage or whatever. You know what I mean? So because I knew from the beginning of this, and it even happened with acting when I got a few ads in, you know what I mean? You can't live like a drunken sailor that week you get paid. You need to put that money aside for all the rainy days that you don't have that money. And it's like when people get famous, right? They just don't know what to do with themselves, and they spend all this money and they go nuts, or they become jerks. It's like a certain amount of responsibility is essential when you get paid money in big chunks like that. You have to think, okay, there's going to be a dry spell. I just need to be sensible and not go, I'll be dead tomorrow. No, you shouldn't do that. You 100% shouldn't do that. You need to be fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to us about like a freelance brief that you might get. So for us, we get a freelance brief, we write the article, it goes back, you get paid. What about with you? Is it you'll get a script, and do you workshop that at all? Are you required to ever workshop it, or are you just recording it? And do you give them different versions? How does it work?
It really depends on the job. So this morning, just before I spoke to you, I did a voiceover where I was connecting with the studio. So there's a room full of people, and it was for there were several taglines there, but it was a little bit of a tricky one, and then I had to kind of sound like I was on a tannoy in a stadium. So it's a bit different, right? So we just workshop the voice, that kind of thing. Often you don't even, often there's not a huge amount of workshopping. All that stuff I get at home, I just do. And I do read, if I'm reading it cold or wild with nothing, no music, anything like that, I give them several different versions and different speeds so that I know that they can fit it into whatever they need to. Sometimes they'll send me a video and I can just read to that. And, they'll send it with a guide in there, and then they'll send it with just cold, like with no voiceover in there. And then I can just read to that. So the music really helps you. But yeah, you workshop when you're in the studio or you're connecting with studio, definitely. Project less, project more, pitch your voice down a bit, less selly, more natural. There's all this kind of direction you can give. And I often give suggestions as well. Like if I'm not quite happy, I'll be like, oh, what about this? But I don't hold things up. It's like if they're happy, they're happy. So,
yeah. It's interesting. I just wondered if sometimes you got a really long script and you were like, this is not going to work. I think it's going to work like better.
If it's a 15-second TVC, yes, it usually is overwritten because they've just taken the 30-second script and put it on the 15. I'm going, no, I'm actually quite good. I would not be able to write stuff, but I'm actually quite good at finding the superfluous words and things and making suggestions about what you could potentially take out.
That's experience, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm not, and also not being frightened to make suggestions. During lockdown, actually, I did create, separate to my current side hustle, a voiceover Instagram about all this stuff, teaching people how to be better in the room and more confident, and just sharing, 25 years of knowledge of why I am good in the room. Not, you don't want to derail or do anything like that, but you also want to walk away happy and do your best.
Tell us about the side hustle, because that's how I found you, and you've built up such a strong following, and I'd love to hear the story behind that. well, again, on air, and it seems to be doing really well.
It is doing shockingly and surprisingly well. So I took my home from a 2.9-star home to a 10-star home in about 2 months. So I learned all this stuff about my house. I got off gas, I electrified it, I increased the insulation, did lots and lots of things. And a year later, I was using a quarter of the electricity we used to from the grid. So we used to use over 42 kilowatt hours a day in winter, and now we use about 12 kilowatt hours a day from the grid in winter.
Wow.
We've only got a small solar array, it's about 4.6 kilowatts. So I learned all that stuff. And then I'm also an admin of a very popular electric vehicles group on Facebook called Electric Vehicles for Australia. And I'm also on the Inner West Council Local Democracy Transport Group as a volunteer. I joined that to advocate for people like me in the Inner West. 2/3 of people in the Inner West can't charge their car at home. So I was pushing for people like me. And I actually approached, this is what I'm like as a hustler, right? So no one in the group had an EV. I knew lots about them, but I didn't even have an EV. So I was like, I approach a car company and said they'll loan me a car and then I can see what it's like to publicly charge without a driveway. So I approached a few companies and the only one that got back to me was actually MG. And it was perfect timing because it was kind of towards the end of the year and they went, well, we've got this MG ZS EV. You can have it 5 weeks. And I was like, amazing. All right, great. So I got this car and then I thought, I should do something with this, not just like do a little fact-finding mission. I should maybe, I'm learning how to use public chargers and all this stuff. Maybe I can show other people how to do it too and demystify it. So I just started this Instagram called Electrify This, and it's under the banner of decarbonisation as a whole. So house, cars, e-bikes, everything. Anyway, 2 weeks after I started the account, I had 62 followers, which was mostly people that I knew. And it was Christmas Day and I was scrolling through my new Instagram and there were all these posts there, comments from fossil fuel trolls. They were really rude and like, electric cars are stupid and whatever. And I was like, oh, God. So anyway, I just made an 18-second post. All I said was, and this is it, this is all I said. Isn't that interesting? This account is what, 2-3 weeks old? It was only 2 weeks old to the day on that day. 2-3 weeks old and already the fossil fuel trolls have found it. Isn't that interesting and revealing? Well, did I ever? So by the end of that day, it had 1,000 views. And I went, that's a bit weird. It got put into recommended reels on Instagram. Must have been a quiet day on Christmas Day, right? Anyway, 3 days later, I had 1,000 followers. By the end of the week, I had 5,000 followers. I was like, what is happening? And there was so much traffic happening on the account that I wasn't allowed to comment. They were restricting my ability to respond because these trolls were smashing me. Absolutely. The algorithm obviously pushed it out to people who were interested, but also to people who were very much not interested. And it was actually good that I was limited because it meant that I just kind of had to just sit back and watch it happen and then just keep making posts. So yeah, it's just grown. 8 months later, it's now at 68,000 followers. And the TikTok I started in February, and that's up to about 18,000. Oh, it's 18,000 followers. And some of the TikToks, when they go off, they go completely off. Like one of them's at 1.8 million views. It's quite something. So I've weirdly become an EV car reviewer. And I don't really understand how that happened. It's still, I have a mix of things in there, but lately it's been a lot of electric cars because I've literally just had car because they loan me cars. So I have car after car after car. So I haven't needed to buy an EV yet. I mean, I'm even being flown to the US in a couple of weeks by General Motors to go test drive the new Cadillac Lyric. So, I mean, it's just crazy. My midlife crisis is coming along very nicely, ladies. That's all I'm going to say.
Did you always have like an interest in this stuff or where did it stem from?
No, I not really. I mean, I've always kind of liked cars, but I loved 10 years ago, I sat in my friend's Model S, Tesla Model S, and it was the most amazing car I'd ever been in. And I was like, that central screen with nothing else. I'd never seen anything like it. And it has like ludicrous mode. And he put his foot down and my stomach, when you're on a ride at a fairground and your stomach lurches, that actually happened. And I was like, oh, this is the future. This is the future. Oh my God, this is amazing. So that kind of interest started there. But the house stuff was just genuinely from a place of being absolutely sick to the back teeth of being freezing cold in winter and heating the house with that ancient ducted air. And then 20 minutes later, after you turn it off, the house was freezing again. I was like, this is not right. There's a better way. So really, I've just, and because I'm an actor, of course, actors love to research. So once you get interested in something, you like a role with a play or something, you just go deep diving and researching into it. So actors are actually good at this sort of stuff. And I'm good at communication. So I'm kind of using my skills in a different way. I don't normally do any kind of direct to camera stuff. And I'm genuinely, so much of it was just me walking the dog and just talking into my phone. And a lot of it still is just that. It's genuinely so real because it is just people come along with me in my day to day in my life. So, and it's, I'm not made up. I'm not, I'm just a normal looking person of a certain age, and that's cool.
It's interesting as well, though, like if I record a reel, sometimes I'll do 12 takes of that reel until I'm actually happy with it. But if you're a voice actor, maybe you can just do like one take and then get that reel up there and,
Sometimes it is one take. Sometimes it is more than 12 takes. If I'm trying to get certain information from an article or something, and I'm like, no, I've got to get that right. But most of the time it is 1 or 2 takes. Like it really is. And I'm just put it up. In fact, someone the other day, I did a post at a expo that I was at, and I talked to her afterwards because I actually interviewed her about one of their products. And she said, I was just watching you walk around. And it is like I'm just holding my phone and just talking into it, like I'm having a FaceTime with someone, and then it's done. And all of those are one take. So a lot of it is very, very easy, but now I'm getting too clever for my own boots and having to do
when you've got
things.
technical information, that's hard to just
because you have to get it right. So
but that's very impressive. 68,000. How long did that take again to get to that level?
I started on the 9th of December.
Wow.
Last year, 2023, so it's not even a year yet.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. And you think it was all because that one reel got boosted or got shown in the kind of selected reels, whatever it's called on Insta?
Yeah. The trolls 100% made my account sucked in. Sucked in. Because I get trolled on a level you would never imagine. Like, it is constant. Major and constant. And definitely certain posts are targeted. Any post I do showing charging, electric vehicle charging, smashed. Absolutely smashed. And then some posts, honestly, there's no rhyme or reason, because not long after I started the account and I had that first one that went viral that was 250,000 views, then I posted about my mechanical door strip, which is an RP3 by Raven. You buy it at Bunnings, and basically you can install it yourself, no problem, and it just flicks down when you shut the door, so it just seals. And it's literally all you need is a hacksaw and a screwdriver, and it's on. Anyone can do it. So that was in my drafts, just showing, you can do this and la la la. That was in my drafts for about 3 weeks. And I went, I've got nothing to post today. I'll just post that. That post went completely ballistic. It went to 1 million views within like 3 weeks. And it's the one on Instagram's like 1.6 million. And then I put it on TikTok, much later, and that went to 1 million views because the Americans don't have them and they lost their minds over it. So I contacted Raven and went, oh, by the way, this happened with my post. And they went, we know. We've been inundated with requests to ship to the US. We're considering distribution over there. Good times. Thanks. And I was like, you're welcome.
It's really interesting how, like that's just like you picked up a product, used it for yourself, now it's going mental. There was something similar with, have you seen that cleaning product called the Pink Stuff?
Yes.
I think there was an influencer who used that and loved it. And she just used to post herself using it in different ways. The company, which was this tiny little company in the UK, now has warehouses. It's everywhere.
I hope they threw some money her way.
I don't know if they did. But it's interesting now because influencers are in such a powerful position of building businesses, in ways that you could never imagine before.
That word is so awful.
It's kind of, but you are one, sort of.
I can't. It's so bad. I'm too old to be an influencer. Honestly, it's just the worst word. I mean, I am wildly embarrassed that people use that word for me, but if I can reinvent the word that it's influencing people to make informed decisions, which are good for the planet and good for our health and good for help people save money, then that's okay. I can live with that. But no, I should stand in front of a mirror and contour my face and do things. No.
Apart from getting the cars, to borrow and test out and all of that, how are you monetizing that?
That would be, if you know how I can do that, that would be tops. No, it's hard because I have a buy me a coffee campaign, so people can donate to that. I've earned about $3,000 from that I've bought, my Pocket 3 and a bit more gear with that. So that was great. But it's not anything I can live on. So it's hard because what I actually have right now is people's trust. And I just feel really quite protective of that. Speak to me if my voiceover career completely dries up. Maybe I'll be like, no, give me sponsorships. I don't care. But I certainly feel like I do promote people. I talk about tradies I've used and the products I've used in my house, but things that I have experience with or people around me have had experience with. I don't know how I'd feel about promoting something that, unless I myself know that it's definitely great. And I just don't know. Maybe it might be something I need to broach with the actual followers and have a conversation with them about it. Certainly I started the Buy Me a Coffee for that reason. And I just need more members, more ongoing members, I guess. But I am starting to generate, I started a website and I promoted that saying, look, I really want to do more public speaking and events and stuff like that. And that's starting to slowly happen. I'm being flown to Melbourne to speak at an expo all day in September. I just did a podcast the other day, got paid $1,000 for that, for the design files, which was great. So there's stuff sort of trickling in. It's just figuring. And I feel like now, as my reputation is growing, I can start to ask for money and to do those things. Whereas I always felt a bit like, oh, who am I? I'm not really an expert. But as someone said to me the other day, if you're a man, you would be an expert even with the first thing that you've done with your house, let alone the entire home that I project manage. But I guess I just need to just back myself and be like, you know what, I do actually know a lot of stuff about this, and I have driven like nearly every electric car on the market now. And obviously certain car makers are recognizing that I have something quite special with this audience in that I'm reaching non-car people and women, 60% women. I'm reaching people who aren't watching YouTube car reviews, and that's different. No one's really doing this on TikTok and Instagram. And if they are, they're not necessarily reaching women. So I think, and I rate that. I rate that's something I've built, and I know it's going to lead somewhere, in the same way that when I first started doing voiceovers, I felt the same way. I felt this fire in me. I knew it was going to lead to something. I knew this was my path, and I haven't felt that way for 25 years, and I feel that same way now. So whether everything is paid or whatever, I don't mind, because I'm like, I know I'm building, and I don't know what it's going to lead to, but it's going to be something good. And I feel like I'm making a difference. Like, it actually feels really good. My entire career has been about consumerism and about selling things, and, cartoons aren't that, but it feels really nice. Like, I have messages constantly from people saying, thank you so much. We just bought our first electric car. Your reviews were so helpful. Thank you so much. We've just put in our hot water heat pump, or we're thinking about putting in an induction stove. We're going to get off gas. People are genuinely fired up, and other people just message me because I do talk about the trolling quite a lot. They're like, please don't listen to the trolls. What you're doing makes a difference. And that feels really great. And I am genuinely passionate about this. So all that stuff I think will come, but it's just building.
It's hard as a creative charging anyway, because we're working in sort of ephemeral sort of skills and things. How do you approach pricing and fees? I guess with your voice work, is it often set by somebody else, or do you negotiate?
That's why I have an agent. She deals with all the money stuff, which is why it's hard when people contact me directly, but I can then push them to Soph and be like, can you deal with that, please?
Yeah. Well, it is nice having that third person being as tough as you want them to be without you having to do it.
She's really good at that. And I'm like, I'm nice. I don't want to deal with that.
Fair enough.
Maybe you should have a conversation with Soph about perhaps, being an unofficial influencer agent as well, and she can handle all the sponsorships for your side hustle.
She does actually represent influencers on her books. So she's already all over that. And if people do, then they will. And if that comes, then we'll see. I have had it, you know, some people approach me about some things, and I've actually just said to them, I'm just not ready to do, because they're very small startups, and, you know, we've only got, and I'm like, I just don't think I want to blow my integrity if I am going to do it on something so tiny to start with. I think, I don't know, needs to be something.
You can do a real mixture, or make that, you know, like every 5th or 6th post, it might be a sponsored post and you're really transparent about that. We had Natasha Dickens on from Little Red Industries, and she does a lot of that, doesn't she, Lynne?
She does. So she used to work at Handyman magazine and things, and she does like DIY sort of little videos where she does little projects around her house, and all her tools are now supplied, and she does them for people like Bunnings and stuff. And that's been a nice little niche, but she got into it accidentally too, and she quite likes that. Yeah.
It's just figuring out how to, like, where, I mean, you know, the car makers all have money, but then if one of them sponsors me, then that puts me out with all the, you know what I mean? Like, how, unless I start charging them for the actual review posts, I do, but then that's complex, because I'm like, then I have to just be really nice all the time from them, their point of view, maybe, I don't know. And a lot of, you know, I have a likes and dislikes post, which are very quick little intercut, you know, quick edits, and those are the ones that actually do really well on TikTok. And it's like, would I have to be nicer? I mean, I won't be. I mean, no one's but you know,
it's a grey area, isn't it?
Yeah. I know it's hard for a lot of creatives to put that value on their work. You sound, maybe it's because you've been doing this for a while, you sound so confident. Do you think there's a way to sort of get over it and charge with confidence?
Yeah, I think if you imagine that you're talking about your best friend, if they were in that situation, you back them, and you back them and rate them and think they're great, what would you expect for them? Well, expect the same for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, back yourself. We all, everything we do has value. I mean, I have, you know, I have a nice looking house, and get comments from people, trolls, who are like, oh, you don't seem short of a quid. What are you asking for money for? And it's like, well, my time is value. My time is valuable. I'm taking the time to learn about these things and share it with you. Does that, just because I have a house, does that mean I shouldn't ask for that? I think I should. No.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so well established. Obviously, a lot of your work must come from, you know, people who've used you before, or word of mouth, that sort of thing. Are there other ways that you think jobs come to you, though?
Do you know, I actually think what I'm doing with my Instagram has put me out there again with people. Certainly one of the agencies I'm working with right now have all seen it. Lots of them are following it, and it's come up in their feed. So I think it's reminding me to people, and you always have to be inventing yourself, because there's always new people coming out, like young people training in this industry who have no idea who you are. So you can't really rest on your reputation, because they'll go like, I don't know who you are. You know, they're 21, they've just graduated, and they're like, what? Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is where Sophie is amazing. Sophie German, she's the best. She is always on the lookout for work. She'll look in the back of ad news and you know, what's in production, what's coming up. She'll get on the blowers if it's, you know, to the studios and to agencies and all her contacts to get in contact, see what's going on. So she's always hustling and trying to find work. And she, you know, she puts me forward for stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of, I can't really chase that work.
Yep.
In a way, you know what I mean? That is her job to do that.
But also, if you did chase it, it might seem too pushy. Having an agent, that's the deal, isn't it?
Is the buffer.
Well, I mean, it would look desperate now if I was doing that.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? Have you got no work or anything? So it's her job to do that. You know what I mean? It's not like me walking around with a pile of CDs anymore. I don't need to do that. But yeah, I feel like that's, and she's so good at it, honestly.
Yeah.
So different to how we kind of work, because we have to do all of that hustling and pitching of stories and, you know, sending letters of introduction to, you know, potential companies we might want to write.
Although a few of the novelists and everything we've had, some of the bigger name writers and everything, they have agents who do a lot of that. So it's just in the sort of smaller businesses that we have.
And I'm doing that in my side hustle. Do you know what I mean? And I have done it over many years with my band, with plays, with that sort of stuff. So you know, I created my website, for example, and I was like, I'm going to create that so that if people need to contact me and they want to book me, and some people do book me directly through that, you know, just make it easier. And I try to respond as much as possible to, I certainly respond to direct messages, but I try to respond to nice comments, like things, you know, keep people engaged, just to sort of create a family in a way of people who are like-minded.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
lovely.
that's where
So-
it's at.
Yeah. So talk us through your average day. It sounds like it could be anything. So what are you working on at the moment? Could be anything.
It could be absolutely anything. So, you know, as I said, 9 o'clock this morning, I had a VO doing this with you today. I've got to go and return a bath that I've got at the moment and pick up a GWM Aura. I've got to walk the dog at 2:30. So I need to go to the gym. So I will do that. Normally I do it in the morning. So it just depends. I live a very privileged life in that I do have a lot of free time. Well, I used to have a lot of free time. I don't anymore because I'm doing so many videos for Instagram, TikTok, and now I've started YouTube, which is just really stupid because now I go off to all places all over Sydney and interview EV owners as a way of kind of dispelling the disinformation around electric cars. I feel like we should just hear from the actual owners rather than going, you know, myth busting. If you speak the myth, you give it, you give life to it, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I want to literally, this is a real person who has their car, loves their car, and this is their life with the car, and this is what like owning an EV is like. So that requires quite a lot of editing.
So interesting.
Just creating more work for myself. That's what
We do ask all our guests about their tech tips. So if you were going out and doing, you know, that kind of interview work, are there any, you know, smartphone apps that you would be lost without, or any digital tools that you really love?
The Pocket 3, the creator combo, is so amazing. You can shoot in 4K. Like, that thing is amazing. And you can shoot immediately. You can flip it and just go from portrait to landscape. It comes with a wireless microphone. So brilliant. And I just wave that around between myself and the person I'm interviewing, or actually got a second one, which you can also connect that wirelessly. What an amazing piece of kit that is. And it certainly seems to be the vlogger du jour piece of tech. You know, and I use Canva for making the title cards. In fact, if you do have a social media account, I highly recommend putting title cards on all of your posts, because then people can easily find things searching back. That actually was a real game changer. A friend of mine suggested that, who's a theatre director, and it was just such a smart thing, because otherwise it's just frozen pictures of you with your mouth half open and looking stupid. And people don't know what that post is about. Whereas people can, because there's across the board, there's cars, there's heat pumps, there's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
People can immediately find what they're particularly interested in. And yeah, using, I guess, social media is the tech thing to, if you want to build your reputation and put yourself out there. Apparently the average watch time on Instagram is 30 seconds. The average watch time on TikTok is 5 seconds. So get to the point. Get to the point. And CapCut. I've started using CapCut as my editing tool. It's brilliant. I just use the desktop version. So you do all my editing on that. Got the pro version of that. Highly recommend it as a piece of editing software. Just don't be afraid to try these things. You know, you can do the free version with all those things to try it before you buy it, kind of thing. I don't really use AI. Maybe when I run out of ideas for, say, I do on Fridays, my little Good Climate Friday news, maybe I'll start asking Chat GPT about what's happening around the world with stuff. But I don't really like AI.
No.
It's going to kill my job. That's for sure. It can get in the bin as far as I'm concerned. I'm old. Who cares? Uses so much power. Anyway.
Oh, Sarah, it's so great to chat to you. It's so interesting and such a diverse sort of career you've built up.
Yeah.
So where can people find you and find out more about what you're doing? Both things, you know, voiceovers and Electrify This.
You can go to sarahaubrey.com to check out my voiceover work. You should go and watch my voiceover show reel and see all the crazy shenanigans I get up to, especially on my animation one. And I have an Instagram for my voice stuff, which is Sarah Aubrey _VO. And then if you want to check out my side hustle, just go to YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok and search for Electrify This. Or electrifythis.com.au is my website.
Fantastic.
This has been so fascinating. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate your time, and I reckon it'll be very useful for a lot of people out there.
I hope so.
Yeah. hopefully we'll bring you even more. You don't really need more followers, but we
No,
might.
always need more followers.
That's good.
And maybe they'll come and, look at my post about heat pumps and induction stoves and feel inspired to do all those things, which would be awesome.
Yes.
So,
Fantastic.
well, that's to the end of the show this week. But thanks to everybody who's listening and sharing us on social media, and we will see you next week.
Yes, fantastic. And we'll put details on how to connect with Sarah in the show notes.
Yes.
And hear all about our summit coming up. Thanks. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.